Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 30 of the 72 review. Obviously, international break, England are still playing at the moment, so we won't be visiting all 72 teams this weekend, but there's plenty of League One and League Two action for us to get us teeth stuck into. I'm joined by a couple of usual faces in Ian and Lee, and Workout has returned as well to sit in for Jake, who's had a few health problems thanks to a video that was sent through to him from a fan. And I'm going to start on that point before I introduce people. We do this because we enjoy talking about football. We enjoy giving our opinions on football. They're not always right. People are free to disagree with them. But what we would ask is that you're respectful with what you send us. We're just humans. We take things personally. If it comes through, we try not to. It's one of those things where social media is pretty antisocial. Sometimes it is difficult to take, and we do it because we love it, and we hope that people who are watching love it. If you don't like it, just move on. Don't say anything. Don't send anything through, because how would you like it? Think about being on the receiving end of something that you wouldn't like, and then send it if you feel like you'll be able to accept it yourself. So yeah, that's what I'm going to say. ATID's already come in with, in my defence, I wrote that comment about 3 hours ago. Yeah, something's happened between Wednesday's game finishing and now, which has meant that Jake's not been able to join us, which is a shame because he's an integral part of this team. But ATID banter is fine, and I think this is on that side of banter, going to go out of the way and say that Jake has family commitments, so can't join tonight. But yeah, it was planned to come on and have his say about Sheffield Wednesday's week, but unfortunately circumstances meant that he hasn't. So like I said, please just keep it respectful. We're good with banter, but yeah, we do it off of his own back. So that's my early rant gone. There will be other rants as the episode goes on, because Rovers have been absolute pony this week. So I'll start with the introductions. Just next to me here, we've got Ian Bradley. So tell the viewers who you are, what you do, and why you do it, mate.
Well, I'll do it because I love it, like you've just said. I'm Ian. I'm 61-year-old, Miller season ticket, Rotherham United season ticket holder, and also on the occasions when we're away from home and international breaks, I go elsewhere vlogging for Over the Bar YouTube channel, mainly in the bottom two divisions, Leagues 1 and 2.
Yeah, and he put himself through the Rovers yesterday, which
I did.
Credit to you,
and
mate.
I do feel for you. So I don't like to
that means a lot coming from him.
I don't like to see local clubs struggle.
No, you should come to ours then.
Did I say that?
Moving on, just below me, we've got Lee from Around the Grounds. Introduce yourself, tell people why you do it and what you do, mate.
Yeah, so I'm Lee, Sheffield Wednesday fan. For my sins again tonight, it's not a good day. But yeah, when I'm not watching Sheffield Wednesday, I'm ground hopping for my YouTube channel. Absolutely loving it. I've just been on my jollies. This isn't fake tan. Yeah, it is suntan. But yeah, great to be part of the 72 review on a Sunday night.
Lovely stuff. And then finally, we have got Worko, who's stepping in for Jake this evening. Worko, let people know who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Well, I'm Worko, or Jack. I'm 24 years old, despite apparently being told that I look about 35 on a regular basis, so that's fun. But I do like a non-football related Twitch channel most of the time. But I'm also a co-host on the Talking Wednesday podcast with Dexterity Box and with Punk Chef 41. And that's just a weekly thing, but I'm hoping to get into YouTube at some point. And yeah, I'm just very happy to step in for Jake, who's a very close friend of mine. And well, I've got a lot of feelings about what somebody's done this evening, and I don't want to get into that too much because Jake's asked me not to. But just all about banter. But honestly, when people take it a step too far like this, it's not on at all.
Yeah,
I'm very happy to be here again. and I'm very happy that everybody liked my friend Luke Walsh last week.
He did well. He did very well.
He did well.
It was nice to have a different opinion from a different fan. I mean, the regular viewers will know that it's Donny, Rother, and Wednesday. That's pretty much it, and we try to cover as much of the 72 as we can. But to have a Luton fan on, it gives a different perspective, and hopefully, before the end of the season, we'll get a couple of other fans from different teams on as well. Quick look at the comments. Obviously, get comments in. It drives the conversation a lot before we move into League Two. We're going to start in League Two, cover that, and then go to League One. We've got Chalin. Shout out to you all. Thank you very much. Yesterday was tragic, toxic scene where the club and its fan base imploded. It's tipped over the edge, I think. Shout out to Jake also, which is nice. Yeah, it's on a knife edge at the minute at the Rovers. Ainsley, a little bit more to the point. Evening, lads. We were crap. And Andrew has said, too many young Stone Island boys that think that we've got a God-given right to be in the Championship. Made a conscious decision about a month ago to move from the centre of the Kop onto the edge. Yeah, I think the expectation was put in place from the club, though, wasn't it? And that's where we, I've had conversations on here a number of times that once the expectation was set, we were setting ourselves up to fail. I think, Ian, you said that a mid-table season should have been kind of the expectation, but when the board come out and say bouncing back decisively, it's setting yourself up, isn't it, really, to have a failure?
When you've got your board saying that promotion is an ambition and a realistic ambition, fans tend to buy into that. And I didn't think it was feasible with the state of the club at the back end of last season, if you know what I mean. I think you were where you probably should be at this stage, mid-table. No danger of going down, but, consolidation. And I think you should stick with Danny Schofield, even though his ideas aren't coming across yet. He's got to get his squad in the summer. He's got to get his own players.
Yeah.
I'm hoping and praying you get the budget for that, because that's a moot point, really.
I think that's where it is, though, isn't it? You can want the players all you want, but if you're given a tenner, you're not going to get a lot, are you?
No.
Well, we know that probably season ticket sales will be down on this season. That's probably a given. So you need to pull some rabbits out of the hat, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
it is possible. It is possible.
Yeah. Weston has come in. He's got a question for work on. Where's the Luton shirt?
I'm trying not to look like a traffic cone on tonight's broadcast, so I don't think I really want to be wearing as much orange as Lee is currently. So,
to be fair, if you would have been in an orange shirt, Ian's in an Oldham shirt that's orange. When he sat there looking orange, So I think we've rambled on more than enough. Let's get some of the score lines up. Like I say, we'll start in League Two once I've got that up. Crawley against Donny. I'm going to briefly talk about this one because, wow, what a game. Extremely poor against third bottom of the table. And Danny Schofield's comments after the game said that Rovers fans should be proud of a hard-earned, hard-fought point. And like I said on, I think it was a Northampton podcast, I've never been less proud of a point away from home. It was poor display. We had no intent of going forward, and it shows with 2 shots at goal, 1 on target, 38% possession. This is against third bottom of the table. I think it's probably the poorest performance I've seen all season. Defensively, fairly solid because Crawley put us under a lot of pressure. But I think it's the principle of trying not to disrespect Crawley, but we allowed them to play. And I think the same could be said about yesterday. That's all I'm spending on Crawley because it was absolutely shocking. £10 that I won't get back after watching that on High Follow. And I feel for the 308 fans that travelled all the way down there. Very, very poor. Having said that, though, Crawley, 2 wins before that, a draw and a win, which we will go on to later. So I think they've hit a bit of a purple patch. So maybe we just hit them at the wrong time. I don't know. I think on this one, I'll pass the mic over to Ian, because you were there as a neutral, mate. I don't want to talk about this one and be overly biased. I think we're currently in a situation where I'm just frustrated with everything and probably looking at everything as glass half empty at the minute. So give us something to hold on to as a neutral, or are you seeing similar things to what we are?
Well, as a neutral, I came into this and I actually called the score absolutely correctly. I said 2-0 Northampton before I even sat down. But Northampton didn't really have to do a lot to win this game. I mean, both goals were absolute gifts from Mitchell, the keeper. The first one slipped through his hands and under his legs, and it wasn't a particularly difficult shot to field from the edge of the box from what were his name? Pinnock, yeah, from Pinnock, and it was just a routine save, and he just flapped at it. 1-0 up, you'd expect Northampton to take charge, but they were quite happy to sit back, let Rovers have quite a lot of the ball because they were doing absolutely nothing with it. There were no pressing from Rovers. There were no urgency. The toxicity of the fan base were getting more and more and more. I just heard, apoplectic shot, words from the Rovers fan base, you rub it, which they're perfectly entitled to do. The second half started, and 10 minutes in, for the first 10 minutes of the second half, Rovers had a bit of a go. They had a couple of decent efforts. One of them went over the bar. The next one got ferried out for an unproductive corner. But again, Mitchell trying to play out from the back. Side foots the ball straight to the 19-goal top scorer, Sam Hoskins. And the result was inevitably just stroked it in. 2-0, game over. Obviously, the fan base were getting angrier and angrier. There were a bit of a demo in the Black Bank. And it was toxic. It really were toxic. I can understand the Rovers fans' frustration. But you said they were on the beach. I think they've been on the beach since probably the end of January.
Yeah.
It's not good enough. It certainly isn't good enough. And if the Rovers players are playing for contracts, I know 3 of them have signed up this week, but I can't see many of the others getting contracts for next season. I think they probably need between 10 and 15 players, new players that have had no association with Rovers in the past. Some new ideas, some new, probably this season, for the rest of it, 8 games left. Blood some of the young uns, blood some of the 16-year-olds. They can't do any worse than what's in the team now.
No, I'd agree with that. I have got some breaking news, though. There is a potential contract being signed, Jonathan Mitchell, but news is he dropped the pen before he signed it.
Well, yeah. His performance yesterday and in recent games,
it was poor, wasn't it? I don't know if he was fit. He's just come back from injury. I think that question was asked on Radio Sheffield if he was ready to be in a starting 11. And Schofield says that he was declared fit. So if he's declared fit, he's good to go. But yeah, he just looked off it, didn't he, from the first minute? But I mean, playing out from the back, I think there's a misconception that playing out from the back is little short passes, and Schofield touched on this in his post-match press conference. It's about decisions, and if that short pass isn't on, go for a medium or a longer pass. And for some reason, he's gone with a short pass just because you're playing out from the back.
It's all very well playing out from the back, but you've got to have the players with the ability and confidence to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Andrew's coming on the chat saying fans fighting amongst themselves, absolute embarrassment. Hang your heads in your
I saw that.
Yeah, and this is where we're at as a club and as a fan base at the minute. Just so toxic. There's such a divide. I don't think I've ever felt so disconnected with Doncaster Rovers in the 30 plus years of supporting them, and that's from back in like the conference days as well. I think maybe there wasn't an expectation there. Maybe it is that we've got this expectation of pushing for promotion and we're not used to it. But yeah, tough tough old time. Season dead and buried. And like you saying, I think it's time to blood some of the youngsters and see what we've got for next year.
Well, I had the unfortunate experience of visiting Bellevue during the 97-98 season, the season you went out the league.
Yeah.
And it was far worse then than it is now. Really, it was the Bellevue days.
It was. But I think there's a lot of people around my generation now where 97, 98, I was 9 or 10 years old. So it's kind of, I've got memories of it, but it's not kind of the memories that really stuck with you. Whereas, especially since then, it's been success after success. We've gone up to the championship, we've won trophies. So I think there's a lot of generations and a lot of fans at the minute where this is the worst that we've seen, or the worst that's really connected with us. But hopefully we turn a corner. I think that's why
I've got the sympathy with the Rovers fan base, because being a Rotherham fan, I've been through the same sort of thing myself.
Yeah.
And obviously I've been supporting the Millers for 50 plus years. So I've known the bad times. I've known us be as low as you guys are now.
Yeah, it's not fun at the minute, but it gets me out of the house and away from our lass, so we'll take it.
Do you know what she done?
I hope not.
No, because she's not come through that door.
yeah, you'll see her come flying through here in a minute with a frying pan or something. No, I'm joking. She's lovely. That's if she is watching. No, moving on from the negativity that is Doncaster Rovers at the minute. Lee, you went on your travels all the way up to Hartlepool to watch a struggling team against top of the table and a surprising result. Talk us through this one.
Yeah, so first time visiting Hartlepool ground, I was really impressed. One thing I was impressed with the turnout from the Hartlepool fans, to be fair. They really backed them. Obviously, top of the league in town, which helped, but it were nearly enough a full house, so it was good atmosphere in there. Leyton Orient, I wasn't really impressed with, if I'm honest. First half, this produced nothing. Couple of half chances, if that. Second half, it was a bit of a different story. Leyton Orient come out a bit more attacking, and obviously got the goal early in the second half. But after that, they didn't really do well. Hartlepool made a good change, taking off defender and bringing a winger on, and he caused some real problems down the left for Leyton Orient, cutting in a couple of efforts, one looping over, and then they just kept at him, kept at Leyton Orient, and got their just rewards and got the equaliser. And to be honest, I thought they were unlucky not to win it.
Yeah.
They hit the post.
I saw that on the highlights.
Yeah, they hit the post, they hit the bar. I think personally, Hartlepool come away disappointed. I listened to Richie Wellens' interview after. I don't know what game he was watching now. He said that the game should have been dead and buried after they scored because they didn't really do much. I think they were lucky to get out with a draw. And are they stumbling? I mean, I think that's the fourth draw in a row now. But yeah, I wasn't really impressed with them, if I'm honest. I can't comment because they're obviously top of the league for a reason, so they must be putting teams to the sword. But yeah, I wasn't really impressed. Hartlepool, they showed the fight. I'd be happy with if I were an Hartlepool fan that they can get out with it. The only bad side is Crawley's form that they're in now.
Yeah,
I mean we talked about them picking points, so I think they've drawn the last four as well. Which when you're down there, it helps. But Crawley just seemed to have hit unbelievable form. I just, like I said in my vlog, I didn't see that coming from Crawley if I had them to be relegated, if I'm honest. But yeah, Hartlepool really, I'll be disappointed not to get all 3 points, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, Neil said just as you started that Hartlepool should have won.
Yeah.
Worko's warned me about a frying pan coming through the door. And then we've had a couple of comments about Chef Wednesday today, which we will go on to a little bit later on. ATID's had a corn sausage for tea as a celebratory. He's in full form today, isn't he? We will move on to League One shortly, but you mentioned Crawley. I mean, we've said it numerous times on the streams in the past couple of weeks that when you're down near the bottom of the table, points are worth effectively, aren't they? When you win, when you're getting points out of nothing. So Hartlepool will look at that and think that's a really good point yesterday. But then when they look at the team above them, Crawley now 3 wins and a draw out of 4, hitting form at the right time, aren't they? I know it's against Rochdale who are struggling, but Worko, a word on Don Telford. Poor season this season after such a good one last, but do you think that's everything that's surrounding Crawley that's kind of impacted their season on the pitch as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you have a look, well, prime example as well is Doncaster off the field decisions, and when Sheffield Wednesday got the points deduction, as is what happened with Derby in the Championship. Off the field conditions are always going to seep in to the on the field state of affairs. Yeah. When you know that you've got all that trouble brewing in the background, it's always going to then bring poor results, poor form, poor confidence onto the pitch. And I think probably that might be happening there, but then Dom Telford kind of giving them a little bit of hope, I guess, today.
Yeah. And I think with Crawley as well, I was having an interaction with somebody on Twitter, I think it was. They said that the owners have kind of taken a bit of a step back since Christmas time. I think that's for their own safety more than anything. But since they've taken a step back, I think results and performances have started to improve, and really valuable 3 points on Saturday for Crawley there.
Yeah.
And I think ATID said it, Rochdale are dead and buried, in my opinion. Yeah, I think this was the result, if not results prior to this one, but I think this one's kind of one of the final nails in the coffin, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Ian, you wanted to have a look at somebody. Who was it?
It was Gillingham, actually.
There we go. It's all yours, buddy.
What a result for Gillingham. I know it was a last-minute goal, but what sort of form have they been in the last couple of months? I mean, probably promotion form. They've really have turned it around, and I think it was the January transfer window that did it for them. They signed a couple of Mansfield players, one of them Lapsley, I think, and they've really turned the form round. And especially at Priestfield, I think they've won the last 3 or 4 there. And
this is their 7th win in 8 home games.
Can really say they're safe, especially against Carlisle, who were going from an automatic promotion. I mean, a point would have been a good result against Carlisle, but sneaking it in the last few minutes were fantastic for them. So I think we can take Gillingham out of the relegation sort of like connotation now.
Yeah, and looking on to next season,
they've really done well, and actually, that is really big marks for the Gillingham board not sacking Neil Harris when they probably could have done round about November, December time. They stuck with him, and now they're reaping the rewards.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. Looking on to next season, do you think Gillingham could be one of those teams that now push on and give it a good go next season?
It's eminently possible. Yeah, especially if they can carry on this momentum that they seem to be ending this season in. I think Gillingham fans could be pleasantly surprised next season.
Yeah, like Neil's just said, Gillingham's business in January, and you touched on it here, saved them this season. And going back to the Rovers, that's where it frustrates me. I think our January was just such a nothing January. The board could have backed Danny Schofield at that point, and I think that's where our season's pretty much been lost in not recruiting in January. But just shows what an ambitious board can do. But at the same time, how much money have they pumped in, and when will they get that money back? And that's the danger in football at the minute, isn't it? Lee, is there any other teams that you want to touch on before we look at the table? I think
with Salford, Stockport both getting a good result, and they play each other on Friday, which I'm covering. So really looking forward to that.
That'd be a tasty encounter.
Yeah, I mean, is it 5th v 6th? Could be a potential playoff fixture ahead. But yeah, Salford, could it be their year? They seem to be hitting some real form this year, not really stuttering. I think this time of year they always come unstuck, don't they, and just falter away. But they're putting teams to the sword. I mean, 3-1 win at Stevenage is an unbelievable result.
Yeah. Especially
Very
with,
good
I mean,
result for them.
it looks like Stevenage have absolutely peppered them, but they've been clinical with the chances that they did have.
That's it, yeah.
It's all about putting them away, isn't it?
Yeah. Jonathan saying that Salford should have been down to 10. That could have changed the game.
I agree there, Jonathan, yeah. Because that was a headbutt. That was a red card without a doubt.
Yeah, he's missed it, hasn't he, the referee? So, and thankfully, VAR isn't down at our level yet. So we'll just accept that referees are poor.
What were we saying yesterday, Dan, about League Two refs?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that ref had too bad a game yesterday.
No, not too bad, no.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, I'd rather talk about a bad ref than VAR.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. At least with a bad ref, you can just say, look, that's a poor decision and you've got it wrong. But then when VAR gets a decision wrong, it's like you've got the technology there. Surely you can't get it wrong.
And of course, knowing the EFL, with what's happened in recent games, if there's any aggrieved fans that think it should have been a red card and they've got any fan footage of it, just submit it to the EFL and they'll get a retroactive disciplinary action against that player.
Don't forget.
Not to bring controversy, of course.
Though,
you know.
To the EFL. You were talking about Stockport as well, Lee. A 1-0 win at Swindon. That's a good result as well. But Worko, they've gone down to 10 men after a minute. It's backs against the walls from that point, isn't it? You're uphill battle for the rest of the game against a good Stockport team who were fighting for playoffs. And I mean, look at the shots and shots on target. It was like we've gone down to 10. That's it. Let's park the bus.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's knowing, seeing a game, especially recently with Sheffield Wednesday. When you go down to 10 men, especially after 1 minute of time, going down to 10 men, it almost seems like an uphill struggle completely there. And I think not to finish the game with a cricket score scored against you is probably a good result, I would say. And I think in this particular case, especially considering they've just lost one of their crucial defenders to a season-long injury now, Kieran Brennan, who was virtually in the League Two Team of the Week, I think, every other week. After losing him, it's just an uphill struggle for them in general, I think. Now they've just got to...
Charlie Austin off at half-time?
I think so.
For a defender on, yeah.
And it's an almost impossible situation to try and win in that situation, especially with Swindon, like I say, being quite reliant on the lone defender. And then just after that, I think it was I think they were very lucky to only lose 1-0. Put it that way.
That to the 80th minute.
Yeah, exactly.
A really late goal.
Yeah.
80th minute. So I think they can take some credit from that game, but unfortunately they don't get the points. Stockport do, which has set up that game for Lee. Friday night, did you say, Lee?
It is, yeah. Friday night under the lights. I'm buzzing for that one.
Should be a good fixture. Is there any other games that we want to touch upon before we have a look at the table?
No, I think
Ian,
we've done
you good?
League, so, yeah.
Not really.
Happy days. We will move on to the table then. It's almost like we're getting good at this.
Yeah. Hey, we're half an hour in, nearly.
Yeah. I think we'll just have to do 2 divisions every single time. Makes it a bit easier.
Nah, 3 divisions, an hour and a half down.
Oh, that's a killers. So looking at the bottom of the table, Rochdale, I think we're all in agreement that they are done and dusted. There's 8 games to go. Obviously, they're only 10 points away from getting out of it, but other teams, they're just picking results. So like you said, Lee, Hartlepool's 5th draw on the bounce. I'm not sure if they had a draw or a decent result before that, but they're picking up them valuable points, which are keeping them in touching distance of Crawley. But then you look at Crawley, that is an unreal bit of form around this time of season when you're fighting for your life, isn't it?
Yeah, especially down there, like you said, points valuable, but they've won 3 of the last 4. It's brilliant for them, and it's put a bit of a breather between them and Hartlepool. I mean,
it's the draws that's killing them, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's the draws that's killing Hartlepool.
That's it. I still expect them to, like with yesterday's performance, they did show fight, and they could have quite easily just faltered away after Leighton Orient scored, but they were the better side once Orient scored. So the fight's there for them. It's just they need Crawley to stop winning.
I think potentially Colchester's the catchable one for Hartlepool at the minute. You look at Colchester's form, 3 defeats and 2 draws in the last 5.
Yeah,
maybe that's the team that they should be setting the sights for. They're only 5 points behind them, so a couple of wins. And,
yeah. To be honest with you, Harrogate and Crewe have got to be careful.
Yeah. Well, Crewe have got us next, so that's 3 points for them.
Oh, fair enough. I forgot about that. Yeah.
No, Dan, tell us how you really feel.
We're half an hour in, and I want it done in a. I'll not start. In fairness, we sat in 12th. Yeah, we'll take it. We'll write this season off. Hopefully, have a better one next season. You know what? I'm tempted to come along with you on Friday, Lee. Stockport against Salford. That'll be tasty under the lights, and I think that'll pretty much cement one of those teams.
It's a good trip, Edgeley Park. It's all right. It's a good day out or night out.
Yeah. And the pies are good, which Ian recommends.
They are excellent. They're absolutely excellent at Stockport.
There we go. We expect to see pictures and a review on the pie, Lee.
Yeah, you'll get it.
We've got MTFC new to the show. I've never seen your comment, so welcome to the stream. In my opinion, this promotion race, only the top 9 have got the quality to get playoffs. Don't think you're wrong there, mate. Sutton have got a chance. Barrow, Swindon, Donny, I think we're all out of it. But yeah, I think Sutton, definitely Mansfield have got a chance. Bradford need to continue to pick up points, but a run of 4 straight draws isn't great at this stage of the season, is it, to get into the playoffs and get that momentum going into them. We'll start with Ian. Would you agree with MTFC with that prediction?
Well,
that top 9?
I would to an extent. I would, but I don't think. To be honest, I think the top 7 as it is now will be the top 7. I mean, like you said, Mansfield have still got a chance, but they're inconsistent. They draw too many games. Bradford, yeah, I think they will sneak in there because they don't lose many, and they've got Mark Hughes who's done it all before. Salford will make it. Stockport, I'm still thinking they could get top 3, especially with Stevenage faltering a little bit and Carlisle. But I think the top 7 as it is now will be the top 7. Whichever order it is, I don't know. I agree with Joseph. I think Orient will be champions.
Yeah, they've, like Lee said, though, they've drawn the last 4. They're faltering a little bit, but I think the groundwork is already there and done in a way that...
And they're very, very formidable at home.
Yeah. Worko, before we move on to Sheffield Wednesday at Barnsley, would you agree with that assessment of the top 7?
I would, absolutely. I'm very pleasantly surprised to see Sutton United doing so well, because they've come a long way since that goalkeeper being subbed off and then coming back into the player area at half time with the giant pasty, scoffing that and everything live on Sky Sports. That was quite a moment, wasn't it? But yeah, it's nice to see them kind of really do it on an upwards climb of things. But yeah, I agree. I think Leyton Orient's just kind of walked away with the title this year, and yeah, I'd probably say so. I think there's a big gulf in quality between the sort of top 9 and the rest of the league, really. No offence to Donny, of course, but...
None taken, I agree.
You know. it's a league of 2 halves, so to speak.
Lee, would you agree with the top 9 assessment, or do you think there's somebody else?
Yeah, I think top 9, but I do think there's going to be one to miss out. I'm not saying who it is because I don't know, but I definitely think there's still some twist to be had in there because, like you said, Stockport, Salford play Friday. I think Bradford play, which Saturday, Grimsby. So there's lots of tasty fixtures to be had yet, and plenty of games to play.
Yeah,
it's going to be exciting. Yet, is it? No.
Lovely stuff.
Swindon are a surprise though down there. We're obviously just above Donny. They'd expect to be further up.
Yeah, especially with Charlie Austin, you thought he'd have give them a really big boost and got them up in and around the playoff picture. But sometimes it just doesn't happen, does it?
No. I'm looking forward to this.
Sorry, gents, but we've got to move on to Sheffield Wednesday at Barnsley. 23 games unbeaten, and you lost it to a local rival. Talk us through this one.
I'll let you do this work because I was sunning it on the beach.
Well, as you can probably see by if you've been online in the last sort of week or so, the Barnsley fans are very happy that they've won their cup final 4-2. So much so that they even at the game had those friggin', like the card things that they give them typically at Wembley playoff finals to hold up. They gave the fans on their main stand all of those to hold up against Sheffield Wednesday on a midweek game. But anyway, enough of the banter side of things. Yeah, Wednesday started off kind of as though they hadn't really got off the team coach, honestly. The Barnsley players were just passing it like a hot knife through butter through us, and the Wednesday defence was just totally asleep for the first sort of 12 to 15 minutes. And then something happened to slightly wake Wednesday up, but honestly, the first half, it was just a dominant Barnsley performance. They went with the full press, which seemingly is the kryptonite for Sheffield Wednesday this season. Every single time a team has played that against Wednesday, Wednesday's totally struggled. They couldn't get a foothold in the game. They almost seem reluctant to go to a more direct approach, which arguably against teams like Barnsley and how they seem to set up actually is more effective. But they just seem unwilling to do that until they've been in at half-time and had the team talk with Darren Moore and the analysts and stuff. And then after the half-time kind of goes, allegedly, the rumour is that there were some very choice words that were said in that dressing room by Darren Moore. And then, obviously, the analysis was done. And they switched to a more sort of direct, almost Route 1 approach, really. It's not a very attractive approach, but it's League One. It gets you out of the league, really. Then Wednesday go to equalise through Lee Gregory. And after that, honestly, a lot of people, even the neutrals, thought that it was actually going to end up being a Wednesday win and the unbeaten run would continue. And then both goals were just extremely unlucky ones to concede. It's rebounded off Aidan Flint, and then Max Waters has just put it away into the top corner. And then every single Wednesday player goes up for a corner, other than the goalkeeper. And the scoreline doesn't reflect the result at all, Joseph, you're correct. And then basically Barnsley break, get Wednesday on the counter, and put a fourth one in the 6th minute, in the final minute of extra time, pretty much the last kick of the game. And it was quite a sore loss, I think, to a lot of Wednesday fans. But it was going to happen. The unbeaten run couldn't carry on forever, and it's just a shame that it has to be a local rival who see Sheffield Wednesday as their cup final every time they play them. More so than Rotherham, Ian. I'm sorry.
In the stream, though. Sheffield Wednesday, that size of club at the level that they are, a lot of people's cup final, you do get it where a lot of teams will up the game because they're playing Sheffield Wednesday. I think there's a number of teams in League One that are that size now. Probably Wednesday, Bolton, Portsmouth, all big teams with history that lesser teams go to and up the game, and it's something that Wednesday have got to overcome. And I think Ian said it last week. It's how you react to your first defeat. You were still 23 unbeaten this time last week, so we will move on to how you reacted. But before we do, we've got Punk Chef in the chat. He's thanked us for the comments, and people in the chat. Wednesday were very poor when teams pressed them. It happened in the last 3 games. We'll lose our goal scorer and no options on the bench. He's also said that hate won't keep him quiet. Feels like shit a bit, but try and keep him quiet. Doing this for 11 years now, and won't let that win. Good stuff, Jake.
Well,
You keep up to it.
Love you, Jake, mate.
And we're looking forward to having you back on next week. No, not next week. I'm busy next week, so there's a week off. Week after.
And I just want to clarify as well. I know it was all banterous and things, but
that means the week after is going to be a 2-hour show then.
We'll see how that one goes. We might put it to maybe an 5:30, 6 o'clock start, something like that, because I've got a bedtime to go to.
I just wanted to clarify as well, all about banter. I didn't mean, any malicious intent, in case there's any fans starting to get angry in the comments at any point, as
I've not seen
As we said at the start, I just want to cover that base, okay? I've got a very dry sense of humour, so I'm all about the back and forth and things. But yes,
yeah, like we said at the start, we're all for banter. It's like a chat down in the pub. We just don't want it to go a step too far where people feel they can't come onto the show or the questioning actually doing something that they love.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately for us this week, we've not loved it that much, have we? Because we were talking about a reaction after your first defeat, Lee. Not the reaction you wanted against arguably the worst team in not just League One, but the EFL at the minute.
Yeah, I think that sums up the words there. I think reaction wasn't what we wanted. Obviously disappointing from Barnes. I was absolutely gutted. It ruined my night. I went into a Mardy mode because my missus and her dad are Barnsley fans, so I went to bed not a very happy boy. But had this game in mind, Forest Green, it should have been 3 points. But Wednesday, they're just so frustrating. The attitude of the players, it just wasn't. We just wasn't at the races from the start. We never looked like scoring. We didn't cause them any problems. We just made it look so easy. Credit to Forest Green. They stuck to a game plan and it is on the counter attack a couple of times. We were lucky to get out of there with 1-0, if I'm honest. They could have been 2, 3, maybe 4. They had the better chances. But Wednesday players' attitude were just so wrong. The body language, it's just so predictable. And it hurts, to be fair. We've been flying, and now it's first time I've been on this. I'm actually quite worried that performance today. I really am. Because they didn't show. I wanted them to see a reaction today, to put the wrong Barnsley right, and it just wasn't there. And you got likes of Batkinson and Adeniran coming in, and they didn't show anything. They've been knocking on Moore's door for a few weeks. For me, I'd leave them on the bench. I won't even touch them again because they were just passers by.
Yeah.
So very frustrated Owl today. I bought me Lucky Owl back from Tenerife. That's going straight in the bin. But it was comfortable a few weeks back. Now it's not so comfortable. Very frustrated Owl tonight.
Yeah, I think it's still in your hands, though, isn't it? I mean, if we have a look at the table, still got a game in hand over Plymouth. You've obviously got to win that game in hand. But if you do,
and
got to
next Saturday you play Ipswich at Hillsborough.
No, we don't play Ipswich. We've played everyone bar Derby in that top 6 now.
Oh, right. Sorry, I got that wrong then.
Yeah.
Who's your next game then, Lee?
So we played Cheltenham on Wednesday, and then I believe it's Lincoln on Saturday at home.
That's right, because Cheltenham's your game in hand, isn't it?
Yeah.
Both winnable.
Yeah, but you look at Plymouth's fixtures, I think they've got the easier run. I'm not too sure with Ipswich, but we have got some tricky ties, a lot away from home as well. And if they perform like they did today, worried.
One thing you don't want is an Alfie May masterclass on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
No, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Well, in
don't
fairness,
want it
that's
to be
one
the
positive about
definition
Jake not
of
being on the show today,
complacency.
because there's been a couple of Claxons available with Devante Cole and Max Waters from midweek at Barnsley. So yeah, we've not had Claxons and I've not had to have a drink, so we're all right.
Just on that, obviously, I've been reading a lot. It's all aimed at Moore again, Darren Moore.
It's
I think the
ridiculous.
players have to take responsibility today. Like I've said, that they need to stand up and put that right. They're up there. They need to perform better than that. Really do. It just
Hopefully that's-
frustrates me, Owl fan. They just seem to get out more too easy. Players, I mean, like Bannon, they're just not at the races today at all.
Hopefully this is the kick up the backside for the final 8 or 9 games of the season. I mean, like you say, you've been coasting with 23
Yeah.
unbeaten, and then you end up hitting this.
Exactly, and they're good enough to come back. They're good enough
Yeah.
to come back.
Yeah. I think you've got a good enough coach in Darren Moore to let the players know exactly what's expected of them in your next couple of fixtures to get back on track. I think you'll be fine.
I hope you're right, Don.
Yeah, I said that through gritted teeth. Moving on to Exeter against Accrington. Ian, you normally wax lyrical about Accrington, the
It's
League
a
One
bit
personified,
difficult to
aren't they?
wax lyrical about a Stanley side that look relegation bound, unfortunately. I hate to
Yeah.
say it because I love the club. It's a lovely football club. But Exeter, they've had trouble scoring goals lately, mid-table, comfortably mid-table, but they put Stanley to the sword quite comfortably. And it's not looking good for John Coleman's men, really. I can't really see him getting out now, unfortunately.
Me neither.
It really is
Um,
sad to see him go back into League Two, but it's going to happen, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's frustrating for the Rovers because they're one of our bogey teams as well. So that's 6
Yeah.
points we won't be getting next season. But it was a wonderful strike for the first one to get them going, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Cutting
it
from
was,
the left-hand side, I think, with curling right foot shot into the corner. But then from there, the second half, Exeter didn't look back. 4 minutes in, going 2-0 up, and then it was just an absolute
They
thrashing,
were a
wasn't it? And,
procession, weren't it, really?
Yeah. and Accrington don't even look a shadow of themselves, really. Normally a really tough team to break down, but far too easy yesterday for Exeter, I think.
Yeah.
Moving on to Peterborough against Derby. Does anybody want to take this one? I think.
Well, I wanted this one as well, but I'll let somebody
sorry.
else have a go at this one.
Go for it, Ian.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I think we'll let Worko and Lee recover from talking about Wednesday.
Oh, okay, no problem. Well, it looks like Paul Warren's lads are in trouble. It's always a difficult place to go, London Road, because Peterborough are a side that are not brilliant defensively, but they're full of goals. There's goals in that side from midfield onwards, and that Ephraim is it Ephraim Clark they call him?
Yeah,
The guy that got the first
Ephraim Mason
goal.
Clark.
Brilliant strike from him, and Derby never recovered. I mean, they had territorially it was pretty even, but Derby aren't firing at the moment. They're not firing. I mean, is it the second defeat on the trot because they got beat by Fleetwood, didn't they?
Yeah,
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
So their
that's
playoff charges stalled big style.
It
And
has,
Posh
because
looked one of the teams that could take the place.
yeah, Peterborough.
And
I mean,
didn't
this
think a
result was
week ago
massive.
that Peterborough had a snowball's chance in hell, but
Yeah.
they've come up on the rails and they've been really impressive.
Yeah, and this result absolutely massive. Like you've touched on there, Ian. It's put them within 1 point of Derby on the same point. So it's put the pressure on Derby, hasn't it, to get some results and pull away from them again. Because like you say, a couple of weeks ago we were saying, yeah, Peterborough had a poor season, they're out of the picture, and it just shows how quickly things can change in a couple of weeks with a couple of decent results at this level. Sorry, go on, Lee.
My worry is it's already shaping last day of season. Wednesday needing to beat Derby to get top two, and Derby needing to win to get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Sheffield Wednesday all over again.
Oh.
It's written, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, it's quite because I know a bit about Derby because I've got a lot of friends near to where I live, and they're all Derby fans, and they talk to me about it quite a lot. But they are very fortunate to be where they are in the league, given that their first team squad is literally consisted of the starting 11 and their bench. They have absolutely no one else in the reserves, and
That's
they've
because
got
of the
very
embargo,
few.
though, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah, and they've pretty much got. They're a team with no plan B. They've only got the one plan, and they have nowhere else to turn. And I know that Jake is saying this about Sheffield Wednesday at the moment, that he's worried because there's no options to go to, if there's any backups. But we've at least got the fortune of having under 23s. They don't have that. They've literally just got the current first 11 and their 6 or 7 substitutes, and that's it. There's no option to go to. So unfortunately, events like this defeat to Peterborough, who actually a lot of Derby fans say are now the favourites to possibly even go on and win the playoffs. If they sneak in there, they think it's between Peterborough or Barnsley.
Performance for anybody.
But absolutely, and I think Derby, if they don't get in the playoffs this year for me and go on and win them, I think they're going to be stuck in League One for quite a long time. I can't see them recovering from all of this turmoil anytime soon.
I'd agree with that. It's a tough old division to get out of. Is there any game that you want to touch on before Lee picks
Just
one?
one little side note. Fleetwood, what form they're in? They absolutely hit a purple patch under Scott Brown. And for once, Lincoln didn't draw. But yeah, I mean, take me hat off to Scott Brown. He's doing a fine job up there at Fleetwood. And I mean, following up that 2-0 win at Derby with another home win. And obviously, Cod's vlogs, it was his 21st birthday yesterday.
Not a bad birthday present, was it?
No, and his vlog's brilliant, by the way.
Always is.
The
Very good
match
content
one.
creator.
Yeah.
Need to get him on. But yeah, decent result for Fleetwood. A season where it'd be mid-table mediocrity for them, which I think Fleetwood fans.
Yeah, but for a club of Fleetwood size, that's some achievement.
Yeah, it is. Worko, any game that you want to touch on before we move on?
No, I'm good to move on to the table, I think.
Lovely. Lee, any last game for you?
Little shout out to Jonathan's MK Dons, another win.
Yeah,
3 on the bounce.
Yeah, they looked a bit in trouble, so them wins have definitely given a little bit of breathing space. But yeah, another good win for them. So
vital one as well.
Yeah.
Do you think this is a case of? I mean, we're in the position at the minute where Danny Schofield's trying to implement a style of play and a philosophy and everything around that. I think MK Dons have been through a similar thing this season where they've stuck to the principles and not really been performing, not getting the results, but they've still stuck to it. Is it now starting to come to fruition? Do you think the players are just starting to click with the players, or
well,
do you
the
think
thing is, I mean,
teams that are
last
in
season,
and around
MK Dons had the players. They had Scott Twine. They had Harry.
Darling.
Harry Darling at the back. They had a much better side this last season than they did this. And yeah, I admire the fact that they're trying to stick to the principles. But if you haven't got the players to do it, there's got to be a plan B somewhere.
Yeah,
and I don't think MK have found it this season, but I think they'll be okay now.
Yeah, I mean, three wins on the bounce to put them 4 points clear of the bottom 4. I think we'll have a look at the table now, but that's a great result for them, just to give them that little bit of breathing space. I mean, we'll start down at the bottom. I think a few people have commented about Oxford. Let me just scroll back up. See if...
The plastic seat fans were absolutely ecstatic to have that result yesterday. In fact, it could be heard all the way down the road in Luton, according to my friend Walsh. Yeah, they were absolutely ecstatic for that win. I'm sorry, Jonathan. Oh,
I can't find the comments about Oxford, but a number of people posted in saying that the worry about Oxford. They've got a game in hand, but I think you're right. It's looking.
It's very tight down there, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is.
I think we can all agree Forest Green, although beating Wednesday today, it's not really changed their season that much, has it? I think they'll be down come the end of the season. Cambridge struggling, Morecambe possibly could get out of it, Accrington possibly could get out of it, but with that run of form, I can't see any of them winning a game. So MK, Oxford, Burton, probably all safe, or do you reckon one could get dragged in the next 8 or 9 games? We'll start with Ian on that bottom four. What are you thinking?
I can see nothing other than the bottom 4 staying as they are now. Probably positional might change, but I think the 4 that will go down are the 4 that are the bottom 4 now.
Lovely. What about Worko? Agree with that, or do you think one above could get dragged into them?
See, I've got a very emotional attachment to Accrington Stanley because of good old Bumble, David Lloyd, the cricket commentator. But I'm slightly in agreement with Ian. I think probably the bottom 4 is what will finish as the bottom 4. I think MK Dons and Oxford might swap places a few times, but I think it's probably a solidified bottom 4, that is.
Not good hearing for Accrington, Morecambe, Cambridge or Forest Green fans. What about you, Lee?
Yeah, the Accrington Stanley love story. We'd like to see him get out, but I just think.
Well, I'd be delighted to be wrong.
Yeah.
Same.
I think Oxford will. I mean, he's just coming on in Manning. I think he'll turn the fortune round with MK Dons hitting a bit of form. I think the bottom 4 is what it is. But the 4 teams coming down into League Two are going to be difficult for League Two teams, that's for sure.
Yeah, not looking forward to next season.
League Two is going to be some league next year, by the way.
Yeah.
Off.
Wrexham coming up.
I'd like to have a shout out, if I may, to the job that Dino Mamari has done at Burton, because they look dead and buried at Christmas. He's done a fantastic job there.
I know that all 3 of us on Talking Wednesday thought that Oxford, I don't know why I said Oxford because they're there on my screen, that Burton were pretty much waiting for their funeral in their League One funeral, even at the start of the season. So, it's really nice to see them succeed.
They did the same last season, didn't they? They did the exact same thing last season. They were dead and buried, and then they went on a winning run. Yeah.
Moving towards the top of the table, so Sheff Wednesday knocked off of the perch this week after a couple of poor defeats. Still got a game in hand, though. We've said it before, it was all about promotion. It wasn't about winning the championship. Obviously, it's the cherry on top of the cake, isn't it? But I'm guessing I'm right in saying that the most important thing is solidifying that second place. We'll start at the bottom and work his way up. Lee, do you think you can get back to top spot, or are you happy with second? And I mean, you've already alluded to that final game of the season. Is it going to go to that final game of the season where Derby need that win and Wednesday need the win as well?
I believe it's going to, yeah. All my life I've been used to this situation with a Wednesday fan. You touch on stuff like when we needed to beat Palace on last day of the season and we didn't. It's the Wednesday way. Yeah, it's the Wednesday way, I'm afraid. I just worry that it's so frustrating. I mean, I was sat here 2 weeks ago, absolutely buzzing, top of the league, sitting pretty, and now Forest Green have absolutely ruined my Sunday, probably ruined my week. It's just, it's the Wednesday way.
Hopefully this live stream, it's gone from being a review of the 72 to
therapy session.
Yeah, therapy sessions. It was therapy last year because we were absolutely dreadful, and it was a League One show, and it turned into therapy every single week. Jake was like my therapist. Jonathan came on; he was my therapist. Both of them 2 guys were doing pretty well last season, and now we're having to. I'm gonna have to get like a chaise lounge in here or something and just get people way down and have a chat.
The thing is, Dan, it's like my mum said to me on when we got beat by Barnes. It's football. It's not just football. It's our life. It's just like it's more than just a football. It's just when Wednesday don't win, it puts an absolute dampener. I'm not even used to obviously 23 unbeaten. You just take it for granted, but now we have lost it. Yeah, it's a bit crap, I'll be honest.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the worst thing anybody can say to you when you're in a mood from your club getting beat
Oh,
or
yeah.
not performing or whatever. Don't worry about it. It's just football. It's like, do you want to crack?
Yeah.
Just leave me alone.
Yeah.
It's not. I normally have a really poor week at work after a poor performance or a poor defeat. I'll just have people pecking my head all week. I'm just like, I can't deal with this. We've just been beat.
Yeah. Thing is, you can sort of accept it if they perform, but when they're putting a performance in like they have today, it makes it even worse.
Yeah, it does. Worko, would you echo what Lee said? Are you worried coming into the final leg of the season and that final game against Derby, or do you think you've got enough to cover it?
I'm ever the optimist, right? So I still think that we can finish top. I think what people have been saying after this game today, there's actually been a few saying, "Oh, that's it. We're playoff bound now. That's it. Goodbye automatics. It's done with." But I think that's a bit of an overreaction, just because of the opposition that it was today. But I'm ever the optimist, and I really don't want to see Ipswich overtake us, and I wouldn't mind, obviously, winning the league, because I think with the emotional trauma of 2 years ago that the Wednesday fan base went through, I think we just need a nice little thing, even though it's back to the Championship, we just need a nice little bit of reassurance. Like a lot of trauma victims, we need a lot of reassurance that, don't worry, you can have something nice. It isn't all just doom and gloom and national articles that are just hit pieces on the chairman and the club, like has been attempted, by the way, this season by a certain newspaper because of a certain stand, and but that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But yes, I think it's still in our hands, and I really don't want us to throw it away and have to go down to the last game of the season, but it's Sheffield Wednesday, so of course that's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to go. Look, to the neutrals, it's a very good advert about being a Sheffield Wednesday fan. You never get bored. There's never a boring season. It's always either extremely good or a trauma dump for the entire season. That's,
Hopefully, your optimism comes through and
absolutely
top two is secured.
Call it blind optimism or stupidity, but I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I think we'll go stupidity rather than optimism.
Yes, yeah.
And finally, in top six, do you think?
Well,
I mean, you
I've
say the
got a
bottom
little
four
bit of
pretty
good
set.
news, and from a Rotherham fan, this really ticks some saying. Wednesday will be champions.
Bull man,
Will be champions, and the reason I say that is because
make sure you clip
Argyle's
this.
away form, Argyle's away form is average at best. At home form, at home park, they're virtually unbeatable. They've got a fantastic home record, but I think their away record will let them down. I confidently expect Wednesday to win at Cheltenham and cement top spot at the end of the season. And looking at the clubs, Ipswich, Barnsley, Derby, and either Derby or Peterborough, what a playoff race that's going to be. What a set of games that's going to be. There's going to be some fantastic games there in front of full houses.
Yeah, I will.
Hey, I don't drink
not
now.
the confidence you've got.
Yeah.
No, I think Wednesday will win the league, yeah. You can quote me as well if you could.
Please, someone record this. A Rotherham fan saying that Wednesday are going to do well. It must be a first for quite some time. Oh,
It's what he gets. He's had a trip out to Donny and he's just gone mental.
yeah. He's lost the plot.
4 trips to Donny.
That's what's done it. It's tipped you over everything.
And overnight, he's become an Oldham fan.
Oh yeah.
I just like shirts.
But no, that brings us to the end. Sorry, Ian, go on.
Don't I, Dan? I just like shirts.
Yeah, we'll not mention that one on here, and we'll not put you in a position.
No, don't put me head on chopping block now.
But no, that brings us to the end of episode 30 of the 72 review. It's been nice to focus a little bit more on League Two and League One. We try and spread it out every single week onto all divisions, but generally we stay on one division for half an hour and then split the others by about 15 minutes. So it's been nice to have half an hour or so on each of the two lower divisions. It's been nice. So I'll go around the screen. Any final words? We'll start with Ian.
Yeah, enjoyed it as always. Thank you, Worko. You've been a very good replacement for Jakey boy. In Ian we trust.
In
Yeah.
Ian we trust indeed.
Worko, any final words, mate, before we go?
Yeah, just thank you for having me again, and not sat next to Jake on a sofa this time. And also just best wishes and love to Jake, because what somebody did wasn't very nice, and I think there's no place for it really. There's, again, as I said earlier, there's absolutely room for banter, and respect. First and foremost, respectful banter. But doing things like what someone's done, knowing his condition and everything, is disgusting, and there's no room for it. And we all love you, Jake. We all miss you, and yeah, we're all wishing you the very best.
Yeah, I echo that, Worko. Spot on, mate. Any final words from Lee before we round off?
I'm just going to echo what I've just said about Mum saying it is just football. When people say and do stuff, it is just football. Like, it's not needed. We all love the game. If you don't agree with it, move on. Just don't do stuff that you're doing. It affects people in different ways. We're all. I'm new to this. If I've had a comment today, I've just took it on chin, but it does affect people in different ways. It's just not needed. We enjoy doing this. We enjoy doing these streams, and it's football end of the day.
Yeah, I link it to Chinese water torture. One little comment, you can brush it off. It just drips on and away it goes. But if that drip continually hits you, it's soon gonna hurt, isn't it? So, yeah, like Worko said, like Lee said, like Ian said, respectful banter. We're all for that. We give each other it. But yeah,
And we
just keep
take
it.
And we take
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, keep it respectful, and we'll keep on doing this for you. But if it starts getting too much, unfortunately, decisions would have to be made, because our health and well-being is far more important than knocking out a couple of videos on YouTube. But none of us want to do that. So
I think with the effort, people, you, Jake, Worko, Ian, you've been doing it a lot longer than what I've been doing. The effort you guys put into stuff, it's just not needed from mindless idiots. It's just not needed. And you guys need to be applauded for how much attention to detail that you put into your channels. Obviously, you all do different stuff. So you've got to be applauded for that. I've learned a lot off of you from doing my channel from such a short period already. Jake's helped me massively, so I've got a lot of time for you guys.
Thank you very much, and we're seeing the love in the chat as well, which is massive. It's nice to know that the community is behind us, and it's a minority, unfortunately, but love will win. And I think
also, Lee reached monetization status recently, so just wanted to give a round of applause for that as well. He's made it. He's officially a YouTuber now. You know,
that's it.
Can I get a t-shirt?
MTFC,
give him the play button now.
Coming back, that's great news. If you've got anybody else, any other fans that you want to bring along with you, everybody's welcome. And that's how we want to keep it. So I think positive note. Let's end on a positive note. It's been great having a chat, doing the usual therapy session for us all because we've been poor this week. It's been a good week for Rotherham because they've not played, but they'd have just put sprinklers on anyway. I don't know if you heard that. Did you hear that one, Ian?
What did you say? I tried to do raid dance yesterday. I tried to do raid dance at Donny yesterday, but it weren't working.
No, it's been a poor week for all of us. Good week for Rotherham. But no, thank you all for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed it. This has been the 72 review. Subscribe to all of these guys. Give them the love and support on their channels. Subscribe to me if you haven't already. All that's left for me to do is say thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one.